Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Good Screen Podcast. My name is Russell.
My name's Lauren.
And we're here to talk to you about movies and TV shows and stuff today. It's been a while. I haven't recorded a podcast in like a month. You recorded a podcast with Lila
A few weeks ago.
which I watched listened to a few weeks ago. I thought that one was going to be a banger, but no.
That's okay. It was still fun.
I don't know. Maybe I feel like the time of day is the biggest factor, and like
I think it's just the subject matter.
Yeah, like
and like relevancy. Like what was the one that we posted and we got like 80 views in like 2 days or something?
What was that?
It was something recent.
It doesn't matter, but Mad Max, which is strange because
that
movie isn't even coming out soon. So I think anyway. Welcome back to the smallest movie podcast on any podcast platform. We have a little bit to talk about today. Before we start, Lauren, what have you been enjoying on the good screen?
I've been enjoying kind of a lot on the good screen.
You've been all over the place. I've been playing games, which we don't really highlight on the good screen anymore because we always say, "Oh, we'll do a game episode."
We still haven't done
it. But one day we will.
Someday.
Yeah, I'm working towards something related to that. So if that makes anyone feel better.
I need some coffee.
You do.
It's Daylight Savings Day.
Yeah, today's Daylight Savings Day.
Although I slept in technically. I got 8 hours of sleep technically. But
yeah, I did too. Well, about 8 hours of sleep. I woke up around what would have been 8 or 7, but was 8.
Yeah, I woke up at what would have been 8, which is my normal wake up time. But
yeah.
Now it's 9.
Okay.
But tomorrow I'm going to wake up.
Tomorrow it's going to be 8, yeah. Anyway, what have you been enjoying on the good screen?
I have been enjoying True Detective.
Yes.
For one, I binge watched the first season, which everyone says is the banger season.
Right.
I am inclined to agree.
What is the True Detective season 1 about? Because I know that all the seasons are different stories, different actors, different directors, maybe.
I don't know about director.
It feels like there's
genuinely I don't know, but different actors for sure. Okay. It's kind of like each season follows sets of detectives solving different kinds of crimes. Mm-hmm. The first season has
Matthew
McConaughey and Woody
Harrelson.
Thank you. As the main
detective
protagonists,
sure, the main characters.
I don't know, main characters. Where there's like this mysterious cult-esque murder that they find the body of in like the early 90s or mid 90s maybe. I think it was 95.
Okay.
And it follows them up until pretty much like almost modern day, like 20 years later, when another murder of the same MO pops up. And
that means motive.
Thank you,
MO?
Russell. Thank you, Russell.
Okay.
A murder of the same type shows up, same cultish type things, and they thought that they had already gotten their guy,
right, like
20 years ago, but now they have to go even deeper.
Okay.
Yeah, and started watching the second season. Didn't grasp me in the first 2 episodes. It's like mob type stuff, which typically I'm kind of into, but I don't like the way they're going about it.
No.
The third season seems like one I would like, which is kind of similar to the first season. It's 20 years after a murder. The main detective guy has to resolve it all over again. Yeah. Something like that.
So strangely, you skipped seasons. You started watching season 2, and you bounced off of it, and then you just started watching the newest season.
Yeah, because it captivated me more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched the first episode just to see what it was about, because it's Alaska murder mystery.
Right. Middle of
nowhere whodunit. But it's actually supernatural.
It seems like either you are missing some context for the supernaturalization of this series moving forward because you didn't finish the seasons in between the first and last. Because you told me
I think it's jumping.
Jumping the shark.
I think it's jumping shark.
Yeah. You told me that it skirted around supernatural stuff in the first season.
Yeah, well, the first season is just because of the cultish stuff.
Yeah.
And it also Do I want to give spoilers about the first season?
It's been out for like almost a decade now, right?
I think so. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll just say what happens. So, in the first season, the murderer had ties to the Tuttle family, which is a name that showed up in this season once already.
Okay.
I don't know if it's going to continue to show up or not, but the Tuttles were like this big family in Louisiana that had a lot of power in like the political and regional sect, which is like all of Louisiana basically.
Right.
And it was this family, or at least like the head guy, but he had died like right before like the 20 years later.
Okay.
So they weren't able to like arrest him, but they were able to figure out that he was like
he was the guy.
the big pen basically, or whatever you want to call it.
The kingpin.
Kingpin, thank you.
You call him the pig pen?
I said big pen.
The bay pen?
Big.
Big pen?
A big pen.
He was a big pen.
He was a big pen.
And Matthew McConaughey was a big eraser.
The fuck? Erasers don't erase pens, Russell.
There are eraser pens.
Them. They suck. They don't work.
Well, Matthew McConaughey works. What did you think about the acting in True Detective?
In season 1, I thought it was really good.
Matthew McConaughey is amazing. He's honestly, like, unironically one of my favorite actors.
Yeah, he's a crazy good actor.
Yeah, he's
he
so
really
good.
sold it.
Dallas Buyers Club. You should see him in that.
I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
Add it to the list. Season 2, the acting seemed okay. I just wasn't really captivated by the story.
It was weird to see Vince Vaughn in a serious role.
I thought he was... Who did I think he was?
Mark Ruffalo.
I thought it was Mark Ruffalo at first, but like, cut me some slack. All white men look the same.
I'd be offended if I was Mark Ruffalo and you said, "Is that Mark Ruffalo?"
Okay, let me pull up pictures of them side by side and show you.
Mark Ruffalo has a chin, first of all.
Vince Vaughn.
They don't look anything alike. They do not look anything alike.
Okay, now that I see them, they don't. But in my brain, I thought that it was him. Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever. Mark Ruffalo is Hulk.
He is the Hulk. You're right.
I should remember him for that.
And Vince Vaughn is he was in all those, he was in like Anchorman and Old School and
I haven't seen Anchorman since I was like 10.
Wedding Crashers.
I haven't seen that.
With Owen Wilson.
Wow. That was a really bad Owen Wilson impression.
That was really bad. It sounded like you were in pain. Wow. That's him on his deathbed. Wow. So, True Detective.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm still watching anime.
Yeah.
I actually need to watch this week's episode of Free Run. Apparently it goes crazy hard.
Oh, really?
And I also need to watch this week's episode of Dungeon Meshi and Apothecary Diaries. I'm a week behind on my anime.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm not watching any.
Yeah. What
Cool.
have you been enjoying on the good screen?
I've been enjoying... I feel like I talked about it before. Maybe even last time. I watched another episode of the Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance.
You keep bringing it up about how you need to finish watching it so you can cancel Netflix.
I know. I just
got charged for it.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay,
Yeah.
last month. Other than that, I haven't been watching a ton of stuff. I've been trying to get off of YouTube.
Yeah, you unsubscribed and now there's ads.
Yeah, there's ads on YouTube.
It drives me insane.
It keeps me from watching a lot on YouTube. I'll be honest. It really does. Unless I'm on my computer where the ads don't work.
Because you have an ad blocker?
Yeah, I have an ad blocker on but like, I'm trying to not... Because it told me. And the worst thing is when I unsubscribed from YouTube Premium, it was like, hey, you spent... Since you've been subscribed, you spent this amount of hours watching, and I was like, all right, thank you for really like.
I thought it was going to tell you how much money you spent.
No. It told me how much hours of ad-free content.
Was it 1,200?
I think it was like since like the last time that I like briefly unsubscribed, which was like last year around this time, 460 hours.
Oh, that's it.
I feel like that's wrong because we have YouTube on like all the time.
Yeah.
It's a big thing, but I'm trying to get away from that because it's just
460 hours. That's only like a handful of 6-hour documentaries.
Yeah, I feel like it's
video essays.
Like that is a big number, but I also feel like yeah. But either way, I'm trying to move away from that because I've decided binge watching YouTube videos and algorithmic content is not good screen. That's moderately questionable advertised revenue screen.
You know what YouTube is?
That's where the poop is.
That's where the poop is.
You too poop. Other than that, I haven't been watching a lot. I've been playing a game, which if we ever do our game episode, I'll talk about it there. But by the time we do that, I'll be probably done with the
We're gonna have like a 6-hour long video game episode.
Yeah, we should just hold the video game stuff. But I'm really trying to watch. I'm thinking about watching something a lot, which is the new season of the Halo show.
Okay, then watch it.
I would have to get another streaming service.
Okay, well, I'm about to cancel Netflix, so it's like we're just trading one for another.
True. Oh, and I got Smallville from the library.
Have you watched it yet?
No.
You should do that.
I'm gonna do that today.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get back to you next week.
Okay.
So I'm pretty much in between screen. And when I finish this game, I'm probably gonna take a break from games for a little bit and watch Smallville, and then play the sequel to the game I'm playing.
Okay.
So that's what I've been enjoying on the good screen.
Cool.
Yeah.
Are you ready to get into the topic of today's video or episode?
I think so.
This episode's going to be 3 hours long.
No, it's not.
I'm calling it late to work.
No, we're gonna keep it really brief. We only have about an hour or so. Mm-hmm. Last week we went to go see Dune Part 2.
Dune 2.
And obviously, the movie we're going to be talking about today is Dune Part 2.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and get into our main feature of Dune Part 2.
Dune Part 2.
Did you know the director's name is not Denis Villeneuve?
The fuck's his name?
Denis Villeneuve. He's French.
Why does he go by Denis Villeneuve?
He doesn't. That's how you pronounce it. You pronounce it Denis Villeneuve. He's from Quebec.
Okay.
Yeah, he's Canadian. He's a Canadian.
French class. I could see that.
Yeah. So I think when we saw Arrival, which is another movie that he made, I think I called him Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah, you did.
So I apologize for that. That really big.
He's a really
mistake.
Amazing director, and
he's
just really
great.
Butchered his name.
He's good. So obviously this is a sequel to Dune Part 1.
No.
Which came out in 2021
yes.
In like November or October, I think. October. Mm-hmm. Starring most of the same cast, but of course we didn't have a podcast when the first one came out, so I'm going to go over some of the cast. Timothée Chalamet. What's up with these French names? What's going on here?
It has to do with nepotism.
No, it doesn't.
Timothy's a nepotism baby, kind of.
Oh. Okay, I thought he reviewed Xbox controllers on YouTube.
He did do that before he became famous.
Okay, well,
no,
he plays...
his dad, knew a guy who knew a guy.
Of course, yeah. Everything is about who your family knows.
It's all about networking.
He played Paul. Zendaya, she played Chani. Probably also a nepotism baby. She don't even have a last name.
No,
Definitely nepotism.
She was just like a Disney baby.
Yeah. Rebecca Ferguson played Lady Jessica. Josh Brolin was Gurney.
Yeah.
Austin Butler was Fade. Routha, who was the bald guy. Mm-hmm. Florence Pugh was Princess Irulan. Dave Bautista was in this movie as well. Christopher Walken here.
Needs more cowbell.
No, he was Strangely the Emperor, which Lauren did not like. Yes. I loved it. Stellan Skarsgård was Baron Harkonnen, and Javier Bardem was Stilgar. And there's other people too. I'm not gonna just talk about the whole cast. Obviously, this is based on the book called Dune by Frank Herbert. It was written in the 60s or the late 50s. Dune Part 2, you'd think, they planned it to be, a sequel. They knew it was going to happen.
It's not a sequel. It's just a continuation.
Well, it's a sequel. Right, it's a sequel of another movie, but it's a continuation of the book. If that makes any sense. People call it Dune 2 sometimes, which is very wrong. That's wrong. It's Part 2. It's not Dune 2.
We just called it Dune 2.
We did?
Yes.
Oh. I thought I said Dune. Well, anyway, Dune Part 2 wasn't guaranteed to happen after Part 1 because it hinged on the success of the theatrical release at first. And the worst part about it was Warner Brothers, the wonderful company that's in the news every other day about some weird thing they're doing with their intellectual property.
Or just laying off all their workers.
Yeah, or just laying off all their workers. They were like, okay, well, we're going to release this on HBO Max as well. It was late 2021. People still weren't really going back to the movies yet, but it was starting to come back.
Yeah.
So Denis, he said, I don't know, like, if we're going to do a part 2, if this doesn't do well. Like, it could have gone awfully wrong, and we would just have a movie called Dune Part 1, which was just, like, a little over half of a book, which would have been weird. But thankfully it did really well and did really good on HBO Max. Like, people subscribed.
I mean, I watched it on there right before we went and saw Dune Part 2.
But like back then it did really well. We saw it in theaters.
Yeah, we did.
We did. We saw it in IMAX. I think it was one of the first movies we went to see in theaters after COVID times were
I think you're right.
Down.
We were trying to think about what the other IMAX movie we had seen around that time was. But we couldn't remember. I
don't remember either. And I don't think there's another one. I think it just was Dune.
Just Dune?
Just Dune. Okay. Just Dune things. Anyway, so it was successful on Dune Your Mom. It was successful, and just days after the theatrical release, like, they obviously knew they had something good cooking, and they greenlit the sequel film, which was part 2.
Yes. The second half of the book.
Yes. So very confusing already. The filming began on July 21st, 2022. The film was initially set to release on October 20th, 2023, then September 17th, 2023. Then it was moved up to November 3rd, 2023. But then it was bumped way back to March 15th, 2024 due to the strikes in Hollywood because they came back around that time. So it
was a date, and then they made it earlier.
They made it earlier, and then they made it later.
And then they made it way later.
And wait, there's more. And then they moved it up again. Because obviously it's not March 15th yet.
Yes.
And we saw the movie like a week ago.
Yeah, we saw it on like the 3rd.
So they moved it back up again to March 1st, and it released in theaters in IMAX, plus the 70mm IMAX in 12 theaters worldwide. One of them is driving distance to us.
We could have gone to it.
We could have gone to go see it. And the 70mm was inspired by the success of Oppenheimer in 70mm, because people really like that. And it probably cost like $1 billion. The score was done by Hans Zimmer, who did the Dark Knight trilogy, Inception, Interstellar, Pirates of the Caribbean. I didn't know he did Pirates of the Caribbean. Like all 3 of those. Well, probably all those movies. And The Lion King, like the original Lion King.
Oh.
Yeah, crazy.
That's awesome.
Give this man the EGOT.
Give this man an EGOT.
There were some changes made in this movie.
Yeah, the one guy's not in it.
The one guy is not in it.
They took him out. Because otherwise it'd get too crazy long.
A few characters were cut from the film. That's my first thing I have here.
Great.
So that's awesome. The overall timeline.
You don't have which characters?
No.
Oh my god!
I was in a rush.
I know one was like their human calculator guy.
Yeah, their navigator.
Yes. I don't remember who the other one was. I just know him for sure.
There were some people that play a bigger role in the second book, in Dune Messiah, that were cut out, I believe. So they'll have to like introduce them the timeline of events was restructured, so reasons why people do certain things are a little different, but like the outcome of the movie was the same as the book. Like the ending was the same outcome, where like, all that stuff happens before we haven't talked about the plot yet.
9 billion people die or whatever.
Yeah, something like that.
That's great.
The director specifically made changes to make to put a bigger emphasis on religion being a bigger theme of the story. In the book, Chani didn't have any problems with what Paul was doing. She didn't speak out against the religion or like blindly following someone just because a bunch of people in space said that he's their messiah.
Yeah.
He added all that to kind of drive home that this is not a happy, happy, and then the sandworm comes down And
does it answer?
that this isn't a happy story, and this is like obviously like
very messed up.
Very Paul isn't like a hero or anything. He's an anti-hero. Hilariously, people who read the first book loved Paul, and they were like, yeah, and they cheered for him. And the author was like, no. I'm gonna write another book, and you're gonna fucking hate Paul. and that's what he really drove it home in the second book. But I think our friend Denis Villeneuve. I'm probably saying that wrong too.
It's probably closer.
It's probably closer. He was like, I'm gonna start driving this in the first book, or the first movies of the first book.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate more.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, like, in the first movie, Paul was kind of more like timid and like, I don't really want to go out there, and I just want to do what my dads do. I just want to chill with my dad and stuff. But of course, like, his dad dies at the end of the movie, or closer to the end of the movie, about halfway through, honestly.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, I'm seeing shit, and I don't like all this that's going on, and I want to make the world a better place. But of course, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does it wrong, but also in the same way people predicted.
Well, he did it in the way that supposedly the least amount of people died.
Yeah.
Because apparently he could see like all these different paths.
Yeah.
And he was like, "There's one
like
sliver of a path that if we follow, this will all be successful."
Do you want to talk about, before we start talking about the plot of the movie? Do you want to talk about the influence of this movie? Speaking of that,
you'd like the popcorn bucket.
No. Like
your feet are cold.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry,
we're playing
Russell's foot
footsies.
touched my foot.
Yeah.
It was cold.
So Dune was a very popular book for a very long time.
Yeah, it has like a cult following.
And there was a movie that came out that was a little silly compared to this
Sting
one.
in it.
Sting was, yeah. Austin Butler's character in that movie was Sting.
I wish he reprised his role.
That'd be really funny. He's still alive,
okay.
Yeah. He's walking the fields of gold.
What?
That's a Sting song.
Oh, I wouldn't know. You know I'm uncultured.
My mom had an album of Sting that was like his greatest hits, and it was just called Greatest Hits, Fields of Gold. He was in The Police. He was the singer of The Police.
Whoop, whoop.
Roxanne.
That's him?
That's him.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's him. I completely forgot what I was talking about. So there was a movie in like the 80s, or
talking about the influence of Dune.
Influence. The voice, I forget what they call it, the inner voice that they had that controls people. That inspired
It's literally called The Voice.
Is it called just The Voice?
Yeah, the Bene Gesserit voice.
That inspired the TV show.
Shut the fuck up. No, it did not.
No, it didn't. That inspired Star Wars, the Jedi Mind Trick. Mm-hmm.
This inspired a lot of Star Wars.
Yeah, and of course, like desert planets.
A lot of people compare it to like Empire Strikes Back, and it's like, no, Empire Strikes Back is this.
Yeah.
Empire Strikes Back came after.
Yeah, and also, I want to say the voice might have inspired Conqueror Hockey in One Piece.
I don't know. I haven't seen that one yet. Have we seen that?
Luffy uses that to stop the fight when he's when he's on
maybe
Boa's island. I forget the name. Amazon Lily.
Yeah.
And like people who have a commanding voice that they can get people to
do their bidding.
Either do their bidding or stop what they're doing or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I didn't look that one up, but it really reminded me of it. Mm-hmm. What else? The thing that you were saying, that he saw all the outcomes of how the entire galaxy was going to be. Yeah,
he got that after he drank a whole bottle of red wine berry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that reminded me of the part in Avengers where Doctor Strange looks at all the outcomes of the universe.
I think that's just a multiverse trope.
But I don't know. It reminds me of Dune.
Avengers as a whole?
No, not Avengers as a whole. No way. Just like using that as like, there's only one way we can do this, and then someone having to die because of it. I don't know. That might be a stretch.
Maybe he like made it more popular. Like maybe the way he used it was just really influential. But I feel like that's just a pretty normal sci-fi trope.
I'm 99% sure the Alaskan bullworm from SpongeBob was a Dune reference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no way it's not.
Yeah. Specifically, wait, no.
Don't they ride them?
He didn't ride him.
SpongeBob doesn't ride the bullworm?
Sandy rides his tongue.
Okay.
Like lassos his tongue.
That works.
That sounds crazy.
It's like the same thing.
So yeah, Dune is a very inspirational sci-fi work.
Mm-hmm.
I think I think it's funny that.
Oh, there's also like the twins trope.
The what?
In Dune Messiah, when Charlie has twins.
Well, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, like Luke and Leia.
Okay.
And he didn't know he had a son.
Oh. Yeah, and he was the I guess grandson of the really evil bad guy.
Yeah, he found out that he's technically a Harkonnen because his mom's a Harkonnen, but his mom didn't even know that until
his mom didn't know that. Yeah,
until they both drank the Baja Blast.
Baja Blast, the cursed Baja Blast. All right, so let's go ahead and just talk about the plot of the movie. I'm going to summarize the first movie as best as I can from memory.
Great. I can't wait for this.
Okay, so for anyone who's like, what the fuck are they talking about?
Just read or watch Dune. Then you'll know. Dune's been out for like 50 years.
So
go read it.
At the beginning of this movie, Paul Atreides is in the desert and he's about to infiltrate a base of the evil Harkonnen Empire.
Wait, are you talking about the first Dune or the second?
Oh no, I'm talking about the second Dune. No, I'm getting there. And then he goes down and he's about to hit him with a rock or something, and he goes, "Yep, that's me. I bet you're wondering how I got here."
Wow.
No. So the first part of Dune is basically humanity is tens of thousands of years in the future. They don't know where Earth is anymore. That's my favorite sci-fi trope. Earth? They don't know where Earth is. That's my favorite thing. They lost. They can't find it. There was a great big war against the thinking machines and the humans.
Yeah, it's implied to be like AI.
Yeah, AI. And after that, they went pretty organic with how they run spacefaring and everything. Mm-hmm. Low tech, like
they still have
buttons and boopers,
stuff,
and basically they can only do this because they found this planet called Arrakis that has all the shit called spice on it that fuels their navigators. That's why they can see that far.
Yeah.
And their machines and their spacecraft and all this shit. So basically it becomes like, well, whoever has control of Arrakis controls the universe.
Basically.
Or whatever. So for the longest time, and of course there are people living on Arrakis. They're called the Fremen. Mm-hmm. And they don't like that people are coming to their planet and excavating all their spice because they love the spice.
Well, it's not even just that to them. It's like a religious thing. And it's also just who wants someone to come and dig up their backyard?
Yeah. So, a lot of themes going on in this already.
Big colonizer theme.
So obviously to get them more, accustomed to people coming, the Bene Gesserit, this mystical group of basically space witches.
Yes.
They come to them and they say, "Hey,
you
gotta let this happen because one day a Messiah will come from another planet and he will lead your people to freedom."
Mm-hmm. And that happened like 1,000 years ago.
And that happened 1,000 years or a large amount of years before the movie started.
Yes.
Okay. So flash forward to current times. The Harkonnens had control over Arrakis for many years. Many years. And eventually they just left one day because the Emperor said, "No, I want the Atreides family to have access to Arrakis."
Also, speaking of this, I saw this Twitter thread pop up about, like, why didn't Leto just say no?
Yeah.
And it's explained better in the books than it was in the movie.
Okay.
That
Leto is Paul's dad.
Yes. He was the former head of House Atreides. Basically, the Emperor gave him, like, the rock and a hard place situation where So this is in the book. This is what had happened.
Mm-hmm.
Is the emperor said you can either go to Arrakis, or your house is basically going to be cut off from us, and you're going to be considered like a rogue house, and you have to defend yourselves. Like, you have all this nuclear power.
Yeah.
And you can use that to defend yourself, but that's going to be all that you have. Because the emperor, kind of like how in the movie they explained, the emperor was scared of House Atreides.
Because they had all the nukes.
But
we did not know that until the second part of Dune, the movie.
Yeah.
Anyways, so the Atreides house gets control of Arrakis, and Leto, who is Paul's dad, Jared Leto. He's actually played by Oscar Isaac. He's not in this movie because he dies.
He dies. His skull is.
His skull?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Remember the whole...
I don't remember that.
Yeah, when he kept talking about the war built on, like, and, like, his dad's skull was, like, in an altar.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it happened.
Oh, weird.
His skull was, like, in an altar, and, like, the framed photo of him and all the Fremen were praying to him.
Oh.
That was in one of his
visions.
Was him?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, either way.
A war in my father's name.
Cool.
Whatever.
So,
Holy war. It's coming. That's what Paul said.
Can I get on with the story?
Mm-hmm.
So, the House Atreides goes to Arrakis, and Paul's dad is like I don't know, like the head of the house, the Duke.
He's the Duke.
He's the Duke, and his mom is Lady Jessica, and she's one of the Bene Gesserit. But Paul is being like trained to be something called the Kwisatz Haderach, which is like a male Bene Gesserit, like super being that can see with a genetic memory. So he's being trained for that, and they especially want him to go to Arrakis because one, they have this plan that he's their Messiah. Like savior, and two, they know that the spice and later on the Forbidden Baja Blast will enhance his memory and awaken him basically. So they go on this planet, and Leto's genuinely trying to be a good dude about everything. And of course it was a trap, and the Harkonnens come back, and they kill his dad. They kill Leto. And Paul and Lady Jessica have to just fuck off for a little bit. Escape. And they eventually do, and they get they meet a Fremen tribe, and Paul fights one of them to become one of their people, which is like a tradition of theirs. And then the movie ends.
That's how the first one ends. So it picks up like right after that. Yes, I'm so glad that I watched it literally right before we went to go see it.
I'm so glad I watched a 20-minute recap video, which had like 50 billion ads in it, right before I saw the movie.
Yeah, I bet.
So yeah, it picks up right after that. Lauren, what did you think about Dune Part 2?
Incredible.
I thought it was good.
I thought it was really good.
There were peaks where I was like, wow, this is going to be like a Lord of the Rings moment where like there's a big battle or anything, but it didn't quite happen for me. Like at the end. It didn't feel good.
I wouldn't compare. Well, this isn't a feel good story.
It's not a feel good
Lord
story.
Of the Rings can be.
Yeah, that will never be captured again.
No.
That unless they of course like do an IMAX release of it, which I would go see.
Absolutely.
I'd spend. How much does an IMAX take? Like $30?
Yeah.
I'd spend $90 to see all three of them extended in IMAX.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be a good day.
That'd be a good day.
Good 12 hours.
Good 12. Well, maybe not every day. Like if they did like every weekend.
Okay.
For like a month, I'd be down.
So, yeah.
Either way, there obviously like this movie, like if we just go over like the cinematography and everything, which I'm kind of noticing more. Oh yeah, you have some fun facts. Okay.
So, one thing, like a foreshadowing between the first movie and the second movie.
Okay.
Well, I've just seen a lot of people say in general, after you see the second movie, you should go back and watch the first movie because there's so many seeds planted in that.
Right.
That directly tie into the second movie. Like in the first one, when Paul is witnessing the spice harvester being attacked by one of the worms. And he gets into this like spice trance.
Yeah, because that's the first time he's like exposed to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he goes up to like the extractor machine, and he's just like totally like in another world. And he says, "I recognize your footsteps, old man," which was like a direct reference to Gurney about how before earlier in the movie when they were having like their mock fight practice, whatever, and he would say, "I'd recognize your footsteps anywhere." So then that skip forward to the second one.
Yeah.
When they were having the fight and Paul and like the Fremen were like infiltrating another spice harvester or something like that. And Gurney was there because he was taken prisoner by the Harkonnens. He didn't kill him because he recognized his footsteps, and he said again, like, "I'd recognize your footsteps anywhere."
Wow.
Yeah.
Big brain moment.
Yeah, so there's that, and also supposedly when he was having that vision in the first one, he was seeing him, meeting him again.
Oh,
and,
that's the like this a similar or the same scene probably.
Yeah.
That's cool. See. My thing with like time travel stories is like most of the time they're like whatever. I like when there's one person who can like time travel and see like the future or the past, and then everyone else is reacting to that, and he can't control how they react, but he can still see. Or
he also can't even necessarily control his visions up until like the end.
Yeah, he can't even control his visions at the time. But I like those stories. Like that in Foundation is kind of similar, where like there's a guy who's like, "Yeah, I'm a psychohistorian. I can see that we're heading towards this," and everyone's like, I'm gonna kill you." Anyway, what else do you have to add?
The other thing I want to show you was a shot of Arrival and a shot of Dune.
Whoa, that's pretty good.
They're the same.
Yeah, they are the same.
I guess you could pop this up on the screen. I can send you the screenshot.
I don't do the video anymore.
Poop. Well, maybe we can post it on socials.
Maybe.
Basically, it's this tweet that I saw comparing a shot from Arrival, which Denis Villeneuve did, and then Dune Part 2, which Denis Villeneuve did.
Denis Villeneuve.
Oh yeah.
you fucked it up again.
Where I'll try and verbally paint you a picture here.
Okay.
So the Arrival one is the egg-shaped UFO.
A big egg.
And it's standing tall ways, so it kind of looks like an Easter egg in the sky. And it's like sitting in a field with like rolling hills to the side. And then there's a shot from Dune 2 where there's one of the similarly egg-shaped ships.
Excuse me? It's the Dune Part 2.
Dune Part 2. Where one of, I forget whose ship it was. Oh, this is when they're blasting.
They're blasting. The Harkonnens.
The Harkonnens are, whoa, my Siri's picking up everything I'm saying for some reason.
Yeah. Lauren got an Apple Watch.
There's a shot from Dune to where there is one of the similarly egg-shaped chips. What the fuck?
All right.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's when your feet are still cold. It's when one of the Harkonnen ships is blasting up the, what did they call?
Like their homes.
Kresh. It wasn't Kresh. What was it?
No, I don't remember. It was something like that.
Or something.
Yeah.
Freesh?
Creesh?
No, that's Baldur's Gate.
Creesh?
No, that's Baldur's Gate. That's Kresh.
Kresh. I don't know.
Something different in Dune Part 2.
Their houses in the
yeah, it's basically like their villages that they have set up in the hills.
Yeah.
Like literally in the mountain. So a Harkonnen ship is basically blasting Chani's
house.
Village.
Yeah.
And it's a very similar shot.
That's cool.
That's it. I hope that painted a good picture for you.
That painted a great picture. Especially when you interrupted to look at your Siri.
I'm sorry I didn't notice it.
Get ready for that to happen all the time.
I can't wait. It was really funny.
So the movie was shot really well. The performances are really good. Mm-hmm. It definitely felt like there was no moment where I was like, oh, this is somewhere on Earth. Mm-hmm. I have a few fun facts about the filming of this movie.
Go ahead.
The gladiator arena scene was filmed on black and white infrared camera. Oh. Yeah.
That was like maybe the coolest
That was the coolest
part of the whole movie.
Yeah.
Because the way that it looks there, that's how their sun
their suns is black.
Yeah.
the romantic scenes with Chani and Paul were filmed in remote locations in Jordan during Golden Hour. And they had to film them like really quickly. And the scene where Paul rode the sandworm was all practical. And it was filmed just outside Las Vegas, Nevada.
He rode a real worm?
Yes.
Holy
that worm
shit.
is in the deserts of Nevada.
There's a real worm in the desert of Nevada?
It only comes out for someone whose name is Denis Villeneuve.
Denis Villeneuve?
Yeah. And when you mispronounce his name, he comes out of the sand.
Okay.
So I hope they're filming the next movie because I would just help them with a part. Yeah. So obviously I'm joking about that.
No, you're not. It's real.
Oh, it's real?
Just like Arrival. This is based on a true story.
It's based on a true story.
A true future story.
Yeah. Someone predicted
Earth gets
this.
lost. Maybe it's all real. I feel like we've had this conversation before.
We could have. Well, Foundation is a similar thing where like they don't know where Earth is anymore, and they expanded throughout the stars, and eventually, and I think even in Dune, I think eventually they find Earth again, and they're like, "Oh shit."
Are there still people there?
No, I don't think so.
Did they go find like giraffes and stuff?
I don't know. Oh. I didn't get quite that far.
Okay.
But either way, it picks up right after the first movie. It kind of starts. There are some parts of the movie that are a little like what's going on.
Definitely takes a second viewing. Yeah,
it takes a second viewing. A few of the. Did you have any problems with the movie? Probably not.
No, the only problem that I really had with the movie was just keeping up with it all because there was a lot.
There's a lot going on. A lot of foreign words that we didn't really know.
Well, yes, there's a whole other language.
A whole other language.
Well, it's also just not having any background with like having read the book or anything, just meeting like a lot of new characters in the story.
Yeah. So in the last movie, Dave Bautista's character, he was in charge of the Harkonnen army, but he did a bad job because he didn't find Paul and Lady Jessica, so they got his like cousin, played by Austin Butler. And that's what we were talking about he's crazy.
Yes.
And they do a good job of showing he's crazy right away. But I think around the time that it cut to him, I was like, there's a lot going on in this movie. Yeah,
when it got to that whole part in general, they were on that planet.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called.
I think it's just something, called Harkonnen.
No, it's called like something Prime, like Getty Prime, something like that.
Getty Lee Prime?
Yeah, Getty Lee Prime.
Okay.
Just that whole part, I was like,
it was cool.
What? It was super crazy cool. But I was also like, what the fuck?
I was like,
happening?
oh, this is how this is going to be an 3-hour long movie. Yeah. It was a very long movie, and like
it didn't feel that long. Although I will admit, the last like third of the movie, I did have to pee.
You did have to pee?
I did have to pee pretty bad.
It didn't pass the pee test.
No. Well, I also got a giant soda, and I accidentally drank most of it.
Ouch.
Without thinking.
So yeah, overall, it was a pretty good movie. I would love to watch them back to back, and I probably will get them on Blu-ray when there's a set or something like that.
I have something to say about our movie watching experience at the theater.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. So did you notice how the two guys who sat next to me on our left, they came in like right at the start of the movie?
Uh-huh.
They left like not even a third the way through the movie. They just got up and left. No.
Well, maybe they thought it was going to be a different movie.
What the fuck? No, you're signing up to see Dune Part 2.
Huh.
You pay $20 ticket.
Were they like older or younger?
They were like in their 30s maybe.
Huh.
They smelled like cigarettes.
They smelled like cigarettes.
Yeah, they came in like right as the movie was starting. Like the lights
they were
black.
late. Yeah.
And then they left, but they went out the other way, like to the left.
Huh. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Maybe
they didn't.
I thought that was weird. I liked being able to like have that space to my left.
Yeah, you had
because those
nice
IMAX
space.
seats are little.
Yeah, the woman next to me was like leaning, and I had to be like this the whole movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's weird. At least the ceiling wasn't dripping on us. Yeah.
That would have been crazy.
Yeah, overall, we're not going to like spoil. I don't think we're going to spoil the complete plot of the movie, but again, a lot of people probably are interpreting this movie. They probably think it's like a heroic story, but it really, like, to me, it didn't really feel like that.
If anything, people falling for that plays into the story even more, because this is about like how
like
white
Messiah
saviors
complexes.
are
Well,
not
just
good.
saviors, period.
Yeah.
It basically is the story of Jesus. And it
Just
gets
like in the Bible.
just like in the Bible. Well, no, there are parallels, like, you know, knowing the Bible, Lauren.
I don't know the Bible. You do.
There are parallels of like this being like kind of like inspired. No, he doesn't. But this is semi-inspired by the Bible, because a lot of the Old Testament, there's like points in where prophets and angels are like, hey, you know, one day God's Messiah is going to come down and he's going to lead you to heaven. And that's basically what the Bene Gesserit did to the Fremen. They were like, one day, thousands of years from now, he's coming and you should worship him. And that's basically what happened in this movie. Like, if, you know, Spark Notes it. And it worked. Like, you, like, Stilgar, great character, but you couldn't convince him that Paul wasn't their space Jesus. Even if he was telling him, like, I'm not your Messiah. And then eventually he was forced to lean into it, because that's the only way he could get the thing done that he wanted to do. Like, he had to do it. And he grapples with that more in the second book. So I hope they do a sequel to.
I'm sure they will.
I just hope he does something in between.
Yeah. Do you think there's going to be Dune Messiah Part 1 and 2 again?
Dune Messiah is a smaller book.
You think it's going to be one big movie?
It could just be one big movie. I don't know. I'm kind of like not a big fan of Part 1 and Part 2 movies.
See, I like it because it means more of the story can get told.
Right, but
even if it means you have to wait for it. But like some Part 1 and Part 2 movies aren't necessarily like Mockingjay.
No.
Duh. Even Breaking Dawn, but
even the
Dune's being split into Part 1 and 2. Even it's the first technical installment in this series, and the first one's
it's
being
already
split
Part
in
1,
two.
Part 2.
I think it makes so much more sense, because if you go and look at the Dune made in like the 80s, so I haven't watched it yet, but I've like seen stuff about it online.
It skips a lot.
It skips a lot.
Yeah.
So I'd rather have it more fleshed out and just have to watch 10 hours of it than have an hour and a half and only an eighth of the story told.
I feel like if they do Dune Messiah, there's going to be a lot more liberties, because they've made Chani like a different kind of character.
Yeah, it makes me wonder how her being his concubine's going to go.
I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think that
it's gonna
modern
have to.
audiences...
She has to have the twins.
Right. But like, I feel like they're making her more, like a more like empowered, like, you know, woman character.
Yeah.
And I feel like they have to do it like in a different way. Especially because it ended with her trying to like get on the sandworm herself. I feel like that was a big like, oh, if we continue this, she's going to be a slightly different role.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's when, you know, everyone will be like, oh, this is too different. But it's an adaptation. You can take liberties if you want. It's not like you're like,
Dennis
this is mine.
Villeneuve. He's doing what he wants.
Shut up. It's Denny Villeneuve. Anyway, so we thought this was a good movie. It's still in theaters. It probably will be for a few more weeks. And eventually it'll be on Max. So that's great. And Max is chopping down password sharing soon, so we won't be able to go on that anymore.
Poop.
But you know what? I would buy this on Blu-ray.
You want to hear something interesting?
What?
I was talking so I went with a friend to a local yarn shop the other day.
Yeah.
And we were talking with the shop owner. We were talking about all sorts of things, but one of them was about cable and
like television,
like how they have the HBO Max Plus Live TV. She said that they just switched to that from using
Hulu.
cable. Hulu.
Yeah.
Yes. She said it's amazing.
Yeah, I heard it's good. I mean, it's still $75 a month, which is like arm and a leg.
Yeah.
So it would have to be our only thing if we did that. But it would give us access to a lot of movies and TV shows. We'd get all of Disney stuff.
Well, hopefully... Well, no. I won't be able to keep watching True Detective.
Yeah, you won't. Well, either way. Is Siri picking up more stuff?
No. Or I did now that you said it.
Oh.
It's telling me about my progress for today, which is subliminal.
I bet. So, overall, we think this is a great movie. I think. Would you say it's a good screen?
Absolutely.
Yeah, there are peaks and valleys, definitely. I wouldn't say it's like a lot of people are like, this is a masterpiece.
Don't bring a 30-ounce soda into it.
Don't get the big soda.
Don't get the big soda, even if it comes with the big popcorn.
Visually, it's stunning. The CGI is very good.
Yeah, it's so good
It
that,
looks good.
that there's none. This is
The
all,
worm was real.
This is Arrakis. The worm is a paid actor.
Yeah. My one complaint about the movie, like the biggest complaint, is that our movie theater did not carry the popcorn bucket.
We didn't have our movie theater's not AMC.
No. They
didn't have the popcorn bucket. I can't fuck the popcorn bucket. I can't put my Josh wine in the popcorn bucket.
So, speaking of movie theaters, last night, and I guess we'll transition away from talking about the movie now.
Bye, Dune.
Bye, Dune. Bye, Paul.
Bye, Paul.
Oh, I'm stretching. Ugh. I'm going to have to cut that part out. A big stretch. So, yesterday I got a notification on Instagram that Real Cinemas Lancaster is following us.
Yeah.
Like, not me. The podcast.
How did did they find out we live in Lancaster?
Well, you say it all the time. You say it all the time.
Yeah. Did they message you or anything?
They didn't message me or anything. I just thought it was funny. If you're listening to this, Real Cinemas Lancaster, I've never been to Real Cinemas. We should go. I think it's new.
And be like, you guys follow us on Instagram.
Be like, can I get a discount? I think it's a newer. It's more like it's in Lancaster.
Where?
I don't know. I'm not going to say exactly where it is, but
anyone could look it up.
I think it's newer, and like they do more like dining and like more of an experience.
Okay.
I think they usually have lesser movies playing than like other theaters. Like we usually go to Penn Cinema.
Volume?
Yeah, in volume, but like they have like look at this. They're making pizzas. I'm looking on their Instagram. Yeah,
I want
so
to go
like
get a pizza.
we might have to check that theater
Cinema?
out, especially if they follow our podcast on Instagram. That's crazy.
I guess if you're on the Real Cinema PR team and you're the one who followed us, let us know.
Can you get Godzilla -1 back in?
Can we come see movies there?
No, we're not gonna. No, we should go visit though.
Can we get a commercial?
Oh, like
the Penn Cinema podcast?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
We're not a good podcast. We're not as good.
We're a great podcast, Lauren. What are you talking about?
Okay.
We do the podcast thing. Soon, I think I want to go back to 1 week when your schedule changes.
We'll have to see. I mean, my schedule's just going to be the same but different.
Right.
And I'm still not guaranteed to get out at 9.
True. Well, either way, I think we should change back. I miss doing it every week.
I don't know.
Especially because it's been like a month since I've recorded a podcast now.
I enjoy doing it every 2 weeks because then I have time to do other things.
Okay. I might fill in that 1 week somehow. Anyway, Lauren, what is your screenless shout out for the day?
My screenless shout out is the lateral movement I'm making at my job to work with a different program.
That's cool.
I should be over there in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, you mentioned that before, I think.
Very excited.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
That's good. Anything else? I'll let you have a second one. That was pretty short.
Oh, I guess to follow up from my Fourth Wing episode.
Yeah.
I had mentioned at the end that my screenless shout out was my friends and family because of all the upcoming birthday celebrations I was about to have. But if you listen close enough in the podcast, you can hear me getting sick in real time.
Yeah.
And I ended up having a fever all weekend of my birthday, and all my plans were canceled.
So that didn't happen. But we had a nice thing on this past Friday.
Night the other day, where we went out as kind of like a makeup celebration.
Yeah.
We spent so much time trying to find somewhere in downtown Lancaster to eat.
Yeah.
To no avail. So
we should have went to Real Cinema. They had pizza.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. But we ended up going to like a hibachi place.
Okay.
That was not in downtown.
And but it was good.
We had a very nice time. It was very good. I had the leftovers for dinner last night.
I had the leftovers for lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, happy birthday.
Thanks.
Even though it feels like it was so long
3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
What's your screenless shout out?
My screenless shout out is the gym.
Okay.
I've been going to the gym.
Yeah.
I went for 3 weeks now. 3 weeks straight.
That's awesome.
Not every day. 5 days a week. I'm going today at some point.
Okay.
I've gone to the gym. It feels good. I feel great when I go. I feel great when I come back. I'm definitely turning into one of those people who's gonna be like, oh, you should just go to the gym if you're like sad.
You already told me to start going on walks more.
Yeah, it feels good. I'm less agitated at work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm less agitated at life.
You're also spending all day at work on your analog.
That is true. But I've been like every day after work, except for Wednesdays, straight to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Completely forget about it. De-stress. I went to the doctor. He was like, "Oh yeah, your blood pressure's lower."
Mm-hmm.
Wonder why.
Yeah, Russell, you've already told me this 5 times.
I know, but I'm telling the
I've heard
podcast.
it. Yeah.
You've told, yeah. So that's my screen. The shout out. Next week, I'm sure, or next time we record, we'll probably have a combo because we're going on a trip next week.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we'll go see a movie there. We're not going to Real Cinema Lancaster. We're going to Pittsburgh next weekend.
Pittsburgh.
So maybe while we're out, because we do kind of have like a day where like we can do whatever we want. Because we're going to see a hockey game in Lancaster.
Pittsburgh.
I'm sorry. We're going to see a hockey game in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And for the PWHL.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's Toronto versus Ottawa? No, Toronto versus Ontario. Montreal?
Yes. Yeah. And which is funny because it's in Pittsburgh, but
and it's 2 Canadian teams.
Yeah, but we're going, and we really like the PWHL.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's gonna be a good time. Maybe I'll post something on the Good Screen threads and or Instagram when we're on our trip, just to show everyone, because we'll be leaving like 2 days after the podcast goes live. So
yeah, we should take our film camera.
We should get our film developed.
Yeah, we need to do that. Where even is the camera?
It's down there.
Oh, okay.
I think so. Either that or you have it. No, whatever. So yeah, that's the podcast. If you like our podcast, you should follow us on Instagram or Threads. Mm-hmm. You can rate us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Mm-hmm. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts. I'm still waiting for that first review. Mm-hmm. Real Cinema Lancaster, if you like this podcast, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
And we'll come in. No, we'll definitely try and go over there. I completely forgot that it existed. Mm-hmm. What else?
You can send us an email at goodscreenpod@gmail.com with any recommendations or your thoughts on an episode.
Right. You can leave a comment on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And all of our socials and our email, it's goodscreenpod. Mm-hmm. And the email is at gmail.com. And we'll have all... Yes. And we'll have all of our social links in our show notes. Mm-hmm. And that's all. That's really all we have. I think we made good time.
Yeah.
We discussed 2 movies, basically.
Yeah.
And we also talked about stuff. Mm-hmm. I need more coffee.
I need to make some, period.
Yeah, these morning podcasts are nuts. Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, that'll be it for the podcast this week. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Mm-hmm. And we'll see you next time. Wait, what are we doing next time?
You want to spin the wheel?
I don't have the wheel.
Do a random number and then pick one. Ooh, who picked last time? Was it off your list?
I think we picked last time, and then it was like, oh yeah, we're not going to be able to do this because we had, Argyle and other stuff queued up.
Okay, do you want to just pick another number then?
No, we'll just mystery it. We'll do it later. I just set the wheel back up. I reset my cache, and the wheel was gone. It said it saved it, but it really just saved it to my browser cache. Okay. Next week, I don't know what we're going to do.
Okay.
So, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.